Bonjour à tous, bienvenue sur le
Hello
magnifique
everybody and welcome to the
magnificent
Motorland Aragon circuit. We're a 3-hour drive from Barcelona and it's here that the third VDV meeting of the season takes place. 4 categories, the Protos, the GT, single-seaters and Funyos. The weather will play a determining role this weekend. It's very hot here. Away we go for the adventure. This is the Motorland circuit. As always, when it comes to circuits chosen by the VDV promoters, the keywords are emotion and frissons. Motorland is 5.345 kilometers of pure joy. It's a rapid and demanding circuit and the infrastructure here is first rate. Motorland Aragon is only 5 years old but already boasts an excellent reputation in the motorsport world. In the single-seaters, one man having a bad weekend is Ricardo Cazzaniga. The reigning champion suffered here. His driving was a mix of the incisive and the nervous under the Spanish sunshine. He came here 40 points down on series leader David Dro. He needed to score big points but couldn't manage it. He had a 4th and a 3rd, and in the final race his podium hopes evaporated following a collision. Now to Julien Falchero in the single-seater number 3. Since the start of the season, he's had modest results. He came to Spain 9th in the championship. Motorland, something clicked for him. Julien was the surprise package. He was 4th twice in qualifying and 2nd once. In the races, he was 2nd 3 times. These were his thoughts at the end of race 1.
Au début de la course, j'ai vu que ça.
At the start of the race, I saw there were fights going on behind me. They were getting closer and closer. And I said to myself, there aren't many laps left and that I need to hang on. There was a lot of pressure, but we did it. Now to the boss, the man who gives his rivals sleepless nights, David Dro. He had a perfect weekend, 3 poles and 3 wins, and all of that achieved in style. The races all followed the same pattern, an excellent start, build out the lead, and then control from the front. We spoke to him after race 1. I needed to get a fine start, and I did, and then I looked after the tyres. That was the main thing ahead of the next race.
Est-ce que vous vous êtes
Were you ever worried?
Jamais,
Didn't look like it.
C'est vrai qu'au départ ils sont un peu gênés, donc
the others got caught up with each other off the start, and that allowed me to put in a gap. After that, I just tried to race at my own speed, and things went very well. It's also worth signalling that Alexandre Jouanem in the number 44 left Aragon satisfied. He collected good points and contributed to the spectacular action this weekend. Here he is at the end of the first race after a 3rd place finish.
J'ai réussi à prendre un départ qui
my start wasn't the best, but the pace at the start of the race was good and I managed to overtake 1 or 2 cars. There you go. Oscar Arcila in the number 9 was calmness personified, controlling his 3 races to hold onto the lead in category B. In VDV, Funyo is the fun category, hence the name. It's about combining driving pleasure and being competitive. The races are short, just 20 minutes, and furiously contested. The rest of the weekend is about relaxation, conviviality, and good humour. We start our Funyo chapter by doffing the cap to Jennifer Michel in the number 39. Since the start of the year, she's been getting better and better. Jennifer races in category B. A 5th was her best result of the weekend and enough for victory in her class.
It
helps knowing the circuit, unlike at Barcelona or at Mugello when I was discovering them. It's a circuit I appreciate a lot and I felt comfortable as soon as I got here. I'm very happy with my display, especially finishing 5th overall. I look at that more than when I am in category B. I'm very happy and I hope to keep progressing throughout the season. Another driver to pick out is Cédric Gardin. He was twice a podium finisher but never managed to get a win. Let's hear from him after race 2.
Cette manche-là, là, j'ai vraiment été aux premières loges pour
stall seats to watch the battle for the top two, but I didn't have their pace. I tried, and sometimes you have to make tough choices in order to see whether that will help the car progress. It didn't work, and now we've got a full day to work on it.
Si ça peut faire progresser la voiture, et non, ça n'a pas marché, donc on a une journée pour remettre tout d'équerre.
Let's talk now about Romain Houllier and his red card. Since the start of the season, he's been sharing out the wins and the podiums with Gwenel Delomire. Those two went at it hammer and tong all weekend. The result of the duels was uncertain right until the final corner. The hot-headed Houllier made some mistakes. He had a win, a second and a third, and he could have done better. This was what he had to say after his win.
Romain, vous venez de dire à votre équipe quand je pars de plus loin, c'est plus facile.
When you start from further back, it's easier. Exactly. In the first race, I tried to race tactically, and that's not my thing. When I start from further back, it's a case of going flat out, and I don't ask questions of myself. It was a tough win to get this one. It wasn't a calm race. Not a calm race, no. It took me time, but 20 minutes is long enough to get through the field. What happened in race one? I asked a bit too much of the car. I wanted to get through a small gap and made a mistake. It's as simple as that. Gwenel Delomire was the standout performer. He only turned 30 this weekend, and with his main rival not as good as usual, Gwenel made hay. He enjoyed 3 wins and a second. We spoke to him after the only race he didn't win.
On marque des gros points, c'est
We scored big points, and that's the main thing. I'm very, very happy, of course.
Quand même, hein.
Before meeting the only woman entered in the Protos, here's a lap of the circuit on board the CD Sport Norma Honda. You'll see the performance levels in this category are impressive.
Et dans cette catégorie proto, la seule femme engagée, c'est Ines Tattinger. Ines,
when Bernie Ecclestone thinks about showcase races on F1 weekends, what do you think?
En marge des courses de Formule 1, vous en pensez quoi, vous?
On a la chance d'être un des
We're
seuls
lucky
sports
to
au
be
monde
in
à être
about the only sport in the world that's completely mixed. There are far more men than women, so fewer women are in the spotlight. This may be an advantage for us because a good performance from us will be noticed more than one from a man who might be of a slightly higher level or equal in ability to me, for example. Having female-only races and by extension men's-only races will stigmatise this mixed sport.
Va stigmatiser ce sport mixte.
Votre année 2015 en
Your 2015 in VDV, it's hardly going like a dream, is it?
Là, c'est dans mes rêves les plus doux, je serais pas là.
In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't be here, but I'm happy
j'aime
in
beaucoup CDSport,
VDV, and I get on really well with the team that I've been with for 3 years now. This year we've been unlucky. In Barcelona and at Mugello, we had to abandon when we were well placed to compete for a podium, even with a victory. Now we're at Motorland and it's nearly the mid-season point. And I'd like us to get a good result.
Motorland, c'est la 3e, on est déjà presque à la moitié de saison, j'aimerais bien concrétiser un peu ces bons résultats.
Alors revenons justement
Now let's get back to your wildest dreams. If things go well, what would you like to be doing in 2016, 2017?
En 2016, en 2017, si tout roulait?
Je pense que tout pilote ici
I think every driver here dreams of doing the 24 hours of Le Mans. That's my dream. Why not the World Endurance Championship? I don't know. In your dreams, you can imagine everything. And why not racing in the United States? That's something I'd like to do with the right sponsors. What is certain is that this weekend you are with us here at Motorland Aragon and the Proto VDV race. Let's look at the highlights. And the scorching sun, the start of the 6 hours of Motorland, and Villarino makes a perfect getaway from pole. The Spaniard replaces Vincent Capilliere away testing ahead of the Le Mans 24 hours. Behind him, 2 blue, white and red Graf racing cars are running together. This was the start as seen from the number 11 car of Ines Tattinger. Irvan Jules is at the wheel and starts from 11th spot. The winners of the most recent race at Mugello have a poor weekend here. They're struck by bad luck in qualifying and it carries on at the start of the race. Danielu, Molini and Wolf don't manage to finish the event. Jean-Baptiste Lahaye in the 35 starts from 9th. Unfortunately for him, the racing incidents stack up and that has massive repercussions. I was being careful, but unfortunately on lap 2 there was a racing incident and a coming together with another competitor. We broke something important in the front right and we spent 5 or 6 laps doing repairs in the pits. Leo Roussel made his rivals eat dust. In a 1 hour 45 stint, he moves from 15th to 1st. At Graf Racing, Yann Cleret hands over to Eric Pouillet. They're running second. We've got a well-balanced car. It may not be the most powerful, but we're up in the top 5 and that's what we wanted. Beyond that, there are still 5 hours to go, so we're not getting carried away. Some teams surprised observers, among them Antoine Lacoste, Thomas Dagonot and Olivier Lombard. Their Norma started in 8th place. At 1/3 distance, they're 4th. The big surprise came from IDEX Sports. Lafargue, father and son, are brilliantly backed up by Mathieu Lahaye. It took stint 1 and in 2 hours he managed to lift the car from 6th to 1st. Things were hot out there at the start. People were racing angrily at the first corner. I wanted to take things much cooler. This is a one-off race for me with IDEC and I didn't want to have a crash off the start. I needed to be patient and then after that the car was first class. It was consistent in its performance levels throughout my stint. I was able to keep a good pace.